Welcome to today's 5-minute Bible study in the Gospel of John. Today we're concluding our look at John chapter 19, which describes the crucifixion of Jesus. We're looking at the last paragraph of chapter 19, that is verses 38 through 42. And this describes the burial of Jesus. Now Jesus has died, he's died on the cross, and now he's buried. Let's see what John says about that. So chapter 19, verses 38 through 42. Now later, Joseph of Arimathea asked Pilate for the body of Jesus. Now Joseph was a disciple of Jesus, but secretly, because he feared the Jewish leaders. With Pilate's permission, he came and took the body away. He was accompanied by Nicodemus, the man who earlier had visited Jesus at night. Nicodemus brought a mixture of myrrh and aloes, about 75 pounds worth. Taking Jesus' body, the two of them wrapped it with the spices in strips of linen. This was in accordance with Jewish burial customs. At the place where Jesus was crucified, there was a garden, and in the garden a new tomb, in which no one had ever been laid. Because it was the Jewish day of preparation, and since the tomb was nearby, they laid Jesus there. So we find these two men who take responsibility for burying Jesus, Joseph of Arimathea and Nicodemus. Now both of them, we're told, were members of the Sanhedrin, the Jewish ruling council, but they had not gone along with nor been in favor of what the Sanhedrin had done. We're told that both were disciples of Jesus. Now, when Joseph of Arimathea is introduced, we're simply told he was a disciple, a follower of the Lord, but he kept it a secret because he was afraid of the others on the Sanhedrin, the Jewish leadership. Nicodemus, of course, we met early in the Gospel of John when he came to Jesus one night asking about the kingdom of God. And Jesus told him, "You must be born again." Remember, he came at night because he also wanted to keep his following of Jesus or his belief in Jesus a secret. But at this moment, though they've kept their discipleship a secret, yet they step forward with great courage to ask that they might be allowed to bury Jesus. That identifies them as sympathizers with Jesus at the least, followers at the most, which most people would understand, but they want to do this for the Lord. Now this is important because the Romans would not be concerned with burying the body of a convicted criminal who had been crucified. Typically, the Romans would not provide for their burial at all. They would perhaps even leave their bodies on the cross for several days as a continuing example, and eventually they would take the bodies down and simply throw them into a pit. The utter final humiliation of not providing proper burial. But Joseph and Nicodemus come forward and say, "We would like to provide burial for Jesus." And they gain permission from Pilate, his allowing them to do that. So they take the body of Jesus and prepare as best they can in accordance with Jewish burial customs. And nearby there's a garden with a tomb in it, and it says they lay Jesus in this tomb. Now notice it says no one has ever been laid there before. You might wonder what that means. Well, in Jewish custom, oftentimes a burial tomb would be for all the members of the family. So not just one person will be buried there, but it would be a family tomb. But no one has ever been laid there before. So this is a new tomb. And so Jesus is buried, and the tomb is sealed. That is, a stone is rolled across the entrance to the tomb. And it is assumed that Jesus is finished. The Jewish leadership assumes that's the end of the story. Pilate assumes this troublesome matter is over. They don't know what's going to happen on the third day, on Sunday, on Easter. You remember the old saying, it's Friday, but Sunday's coming. Yes, indeed, it's Friday, and Jesus is in the tomb. But Friday is now. Sunday is coming. Now, as we move into chapter 20, in our next session, we move to Sunday morning, the morning of resurrection. So join us next time as we begin to look at John chapter 20, his description of Easter morning. Join us for our next 5-minute Bible study in the Gospel of John.